Hi, this is Thomas with Believe in the Run, and I'm here with JT from Adidas, and we're going to be going over some of the new shoes and stuff that you can expect in 2024 and beyond. JT, let's get started. What do you got in your hands right now?
So we're here to talk first and foremost today about Supernova Rise. This launches this Friday, and it's the beginning of a totally new chapter of the Supernova story. Rise is a never-before-seen model that delivers on comfort and support for everyday runners in a way we've never done before.
It looks like it has a new foam that I haven't seen Adidas use before. Can you give me kind of the breakdown of what we got here on the bottom?
Yeah, absolutely. So Supernova Rise is the debut of Dream Strike Plus, which is a new super foam for everyday running. What we did was we looked at where we were with Light Strike Pro and what we were doing in racing in Adistar, and saw the way that supercritical foams deliver on comfort, right? You're not using them in racing for comfort, using them for weight and energy, but because they're so comfortable, we asked how do we bring that into everyday running? Went to our foam team and said, what does a supercritical foam for everyday running look like? And they came back with Dream Strike Plus, something that's just a touch more dense, not quite as minimal. You're not reducing the same way that you need to go to zero on race day, but harmonized with a sense of support a little bit. Basically 14% more dense than Light Strike Pro.
Okay, so it's going to be lighter, resilient. Like, what are the characteristics we should see coming out of this shoe and use case? Like, what are people going to use it for?
Absolutely. So what we were thinking is everyday running. Normal everyday runners running first and foremost, right? If you're someone who's running 7 days a week and has a shoe rotation, it's easy to see this as your recovery day shoe, right? Your shakeouts and your doubles and things like that. But that's not who we built this for. We're thinking about much more normal runners, people who are running 1, 2, 3 days a week as part of their lifestyle. And not necessarily to be faster, not chasing PRs. This is the shoe for that first and foremost.
So like almost like a gym crossover, like you could be using it as a fitness
I think it's definitely a consumer who's pursuing that fitness or that exercise, just that mix of training into my lifestyle makes my life more comfortable. I'm not specifically going after using it for other gym work outside of running, but that's the consumer that we're thinking about.
Okay. Now for us, when we look at your lineup, normally we look at Adistar and we're like, they kill it on the performance side. You really have we just named the Boston 12 our Super Trainer of the Year for 2023. It was such a great update compared to the 11 and 10. But the Adistar line kind of stands out alone, where I feel like where you guys have actually struggled, which is weird, is in the daily trainer category. So other than this shoe, what are some of the shoes that we're going to see for daily training in 2024?
Yeah, first of all, appreciate exactly where you're coming from. We had an honest assessment of where we were and said that's what we needed to do better with, right? So where Supernova Rise is the flagship of a new chapter of Supernova in that space. Supernova, like it's been when we've been at our best since 1997, Supernova means everyday running for Adidas.
Okay.
Rise is the neutral daily driver that launches that. In February, we'll come with Supernova Solution, which is the stability offering, the pairing to that.
Okay.
We'll also introduce something a little bit more accessible in Supernova Stride. And then in future season, we can iterate around this.
Supernova, Adistar, race day, every day.
Every day,
all right.
Exactly.
And good news for some of the people with wide feet. This shoe's coming in wide, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right, and taking a look at this shoe and seeing some of the breakouts you've had here on the floor.
Yep.
Adidas has pioneered sort of that rod that came in the Pro, and then you've seen it go into Takumi Sen. It's got different versions in the Boston 12. You got glass fiber, you got carbon fiber, and I noticed in the bottom of this shoe, you kind of have almost like a foam rod system.
Exactly right. So first of all, the support rods in Supernova are playing a specific role. We want to harmonize comfort and support. You can build comfort in a lot of different ways, really overt comfort stories, but this is about balancing the two.
Okay.
And when we looked at answering the need for support in an everyday trainer, we wanted to do it in a uniquely Adidas way. So building on that rod's identity and what we've been doing in energy rods, right?
It's in the DNA.
Yeah, it's in the DNA. So building from there, what we did was look again at the original inspiration. The energy rods come from looking at the human foot, right? Kind of mirror the bones, the metatarsals, right? They're these rigid structures that you push off with for support. This is more like the tendons in your foot, not like the bones. You know, semi-compliant, there's a little bit of comfortable flexibility, but it guides your foot, provides support. So what we did was use a higher density EVA. So this is, up there on the end of the spectrum in terms of the densities we'd use for an EVA, but in this thin of a structure, you can see it's relatively flexible. But then when you load that into Dream Strike Plus midsole, it means that you can kind of control and attenuate where you have more support.
Okay, so it's not necessarily for propulsion.
Not at all, exactly.
It's more for comfort and transition and smooth feeling?
100%, that's exactly, I couldn't put it any better than that.
All right, and you said that we have this version of the shoe that's for neutral runners.
Correct.
What do we have for the stability runners?
So one of the things we really love about this is that it's a tunable, customizable solution. So we can take this support rods approach and tune it up for support, which is where, when we introduce Supernova Solution in February, we'll come with a situation where we
you can really see
build
it's
out those
built
rods,
up.
Right? Have you ever broken a finger or known someone who broke a finger?
I've broken a metatarsal, so I know where you're going with this.
You know, when you
Thickens
splint
up.
it, yeah. And when you get that extra support by splinting your medial two rods together and then using a little bit denser foam, that's where you get that extra control. But you can also see in profile the way that we have a swelling geometry at the midfoot, both on the lateral and medial sides of Solution, as compared to the flatter support rods in Rise. And then you just end up getting that little touch of more support.
So am I going to feel more arch support in this shoe? Am I going to feel like more structure underfoot simply because it has that? It seems like it's a little far from the actual foot.
Yep.
You're still going to feel that?
So the idea is that you don't feel the element, right? This is bottom loaded underneath Dream Strike Plus. You're still feeling directly comfort. But in transition, the experience is that your ride is more supportive, right?
More
so
guided.
You should feel it running. Exactly.
All right, cool. So in the shoe, it should have a similar feel. Try on. It's just when I'm running, I'm going to feel that extra support.
Exactly right. And that's the consumer insight, right? Someone who needs a stability trainer doesn't want or need a different shoe, needs something that's just a little bit more supportive.
So previous in Adidas lineup, what would I go to for support?
Okay, so where we've been in the past in the solar range, we had neutral and stability shoes around Glide, right? But we wanted to do a big move on here. We knew that we needed to be much better in the space, as we talked about earlier. We understand that, wanted to do a big reset. So we're introducing a completely new hero shoe, Solar Glides. The past, we're on Supernova Rise now, and then Supernova Solution is the complementary shoe to that.
Awesome. All right, let's move on. All right, JT, in the past, the Adistar was sort of what you would call a long, slow distance shoe.
Yes.
It had a very controlled heel. It almost felt like a stability shoe to me, the way that the heel was so blocky.
Yeah.
This shoe is the update, is a new version with Repetitor 2.0.
That's right.
It feels softer.
It is a lot softer. It's a lot lighter too.
Yeah.
So going to where we really wanted to be on Adistar. This is the Adistar 3. We're building a shoe for people looking for that max stack height rocker geometry experience. But we also know, stepping back and looking at it, that a max cush shoe should also be a plush experience. So Repetitor 2.0 is a new blend. It's a lot lighter, a lot more resilient, so you get just a softer, springier
I can
feel
feel
from it. Right?
Yeah.
It's a much more exciting foam underfoot to begin with. So you have an Adistar that provides on that max cush experience, but in a much more plush and lightweight way.
So just out of curiosity, you just brought up the Supernova family as being a daily trainer.
Yep.
This doesn't have a Supernova on it or anything like that.
Correct.
But this is what I would consider not a super trainer, but a daily trainer with pretty max cushion components.
Yes.
It still fits under that Supernova idea of a daily trainer, right?
So this is a second story for the experience that you're looking for. Similar consumer, similar runner, different use case, similar use case, but different experience, right? When you go to higher stack heights and rocker geometries, you're recruiting your biomechanics a little bit differently from in more traditional geometries. Supernova is built into that more traditional space for your gauges and your stack heights, where Adistar is for the consumer who's looking for a rocker shoe. Something that just runs a little bit differently if that's what works for your biomechanics and works for your comfort. That max cushion, max protection is something that we see lining up against long runs, but you can run 2K or 20 miles in it, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. I mean, if you like comfort, you can run any distance in it.
Exactly.
So we were talking about the Supernova there. What was the stack height on that?
So Supernova is 26 millimeters and 36 millimeters, right? A 10 millimeter
10
drop.
millimeter drop. And then what is this?
We come up to 37 and a 6 millimeter drop. So getting into your rocker geometries, you sit a little bit flatter, right?
Yeah.
But start to build up a little bit higher and then a little bit more sidewall.
Which I kind of like, because that usually means you get protection under the forefoot, and
Yes.
I tend to be a midfoot to forefoot striker. So even a max cushion shoe with a higher heel, I get that comfort from that foam. And this one looks promising.